what's the word off season, right? I mean, when it comes to just college football itself, what's the word off season? July in off season, it's not really adding up, right? So we're busy around here at Pigskin Frenzy. We got media days to cover. We did the Big 12 last week. We're doing the SEC this week. We got the ACC next week, and then in 2 weeks at the end of July, we have the Big 10 Media Day recaps. That's all of our Media Day recap coverage. I got to go down to Mississippi later in July and do a Media Day, coverage for a school down there. And not only that, come back and get ready for the biggest edition of Pigskin Frenzy that we've had so far, August 5th, with a special edition of Pigskin Frenzy. We'll tell you who that is in the matter of a couple of weeks at the end of July. But all that to say is there's no off season. College football's around the corner. It's nearing here in July, and I mean, off season is just a word, right? There's no off season about this. We're busy, we're fired up, and we're excited about talking season and some college football. So we're ready, we're pumped, we're excited. Guys, welcome to Pigskin Frenzy on this beautiful Tuesday afternoon. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joel Norris, and whether you're watching on YouTube, listening on Spotify, listening on Podbean or Apple, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday afternoon to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage and some SEC Media Day recap Part 1 coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Guys, Podbean, Spotify, Apple, YouTube, guys, just follow on there, share around with others as well. Guys, X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow up the pages there. You're going to get episode updates, news and highlights from across college football, trivia questions on Instagram stories, going to answer today's college football question, as well as all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy and exclusive content of Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There you will find all things up to date for Pigskin Frenzy. You will also find home and about me page, learn more about me as your podcast host, contact info down below, name, email a question on there. I'll answer it on air or off air if need be. There is also the platforms, affiliations, and store page. More on that on the website, www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. We're ready. We're fired up. SEC Media Days are upon us. We have today, it's Tuesday. Yesterday, 4 teams spoke. LSU, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss, not in that order, but we're going to get to the order there. Then today we had Tennessee, Texas, Auburn, and Georgia as well. So 8 teams today. Eight teams for today's episode. 4 teams today, 4 teams yesterday, which was Monday. And we're going to discuss all 8 teams. And then Thursday, we'll discuss Wednesday and Thursdays SEC Media Days and wrap up SEC Media Days on Thursday. We're fired up. We're ready to go. Guys, if you want to keep plugging into Pigskin Frenzy, keep on doing it. 5,000 plus listeners and counting, about to be at 5,100. So we're pushing there. We're getting super, super close. Big thank you for tuning in each and every Tuesday and Thursday to just listen to Pigskin Frenzy and listen to college football coverage. Guys, we're fired up. We're ready to go. We couldn't do this show without you guys. But most importantly, we couldn't do this show without our Lord and Savior, Jesus. And we give him all the praise and glory for Pigskin Frenzy, to pronounce his name and to give grace to him on this show and the platforms to give him, just spread his name. So we're thankful for him, and we're thankful for him blessing us with Pigskin Frenzy. Let's dive into some SEC Media Day coverage, and let's talk about this. 8 teams to talk about all in one episode. We talked about 12 teams in one episode, or going to talk about 12 teams in one episode coming up shortly, which was, next week for ACC. So with that being said, going over 8 teams today, let's kick it off with LSU. LSU spoke yesterday to kick off Media Days, and Brian Kelly delivering a huge opening statement, and we listened to him talk. He spoke with confidence. Majority of the time, there was one big thing that surrounded LSU, and it is the fact that they have not won a season opener since, I would believe, since 2019, the 2019 season when Joe Burrow went on that magical run and they won the national championship in 2019. And it has been 6 years since they've won an opener. They lost the opener in the COVID year against Mississippi State. They lost the 2021 opener at the Rose Bowl against UCLA. LSU also lost in 2022 under the new regime in Brian Kelly's first game as LSU head coach against Florida State in what was supposed to be a revenge game in 2023 in a battle of top 10 ranked opponents against Florida State in 2023. Florida State ended up beating them, but not only beating them pretty handily in Orlando, Florida. And then in 2024, they lost in an upset against USC in Las Vegas last season to start off their 2024 campaign. This year, they got the team. They loaded up through the portal. They loaded up through, recruiting. They did really good in recruiting. In top 10 recruiting class, they had the number one transfer portal class. Brian Kelly spoke on that yesterday, and he spoke on that, and he spoke confidently about LSU and showed a lot of confidence in his team, and he really showed that LSU needs to win a season opener, and was really talking about that and zeroing in on that. He talked about his receiver, Nick Anderson. There was a car crash with Nick Anderson for his team, and he shouldn't miss it. Luckily, he's fine, and everything's good with him, and our thoughts and prayers with him. He heals up pretty quickly. It was a minor crash, but luckily he's okay, and fortunately he's okay by the grace of the Lord, and he will be back at practice and not expected to miss any practice or anything, which is good news for LSU and good news for Nick, and thoughts and prayers are with him, and hopefully he heals up really quick and everything's good there. But gave us updates on that. He was confident in his quarterback, confident in Garrett Nussmeier returning for the team. Nussmeier wants to win a national championship. That's why he came back. And they talked about that, and they talked about just LSU overall and being confident in his team. So here are my overall media day recap thoughts of LSU and my overall thoughts on everything. So for LSU, and how they talked about how they presented themselves. They did present themselves with confidence, yes. Garrett Nussmeier talking about his receiving core, talking about how they are, they don't run anything over a 4.4, which they're very fast receivers, which is good. You need some of that speed on that offense to create some explosiveness. Whit Weeks was confident in his quarterback and confident in his defense. He's healing up quite nicely. The pieces seem to be falling in roster-wise and on paper for LSU. Here's the thing, and here's my honest thoughts on everything. They're very focused on that Clemson game, and they need to be. August 30th is the date, and if you want to have a circle moment for Pigskin early, we're not doing that until we talk about football games, but if you want to have that circle moment early, Clemson needs to be the focus. They have not won an opener since, like I said, 2019 against Georgia Southern, I believe, was the game. Haven't won since then. That's a long time ago. All right, that's a distant memory almost. 6 years is a minute. I've grown a lot since then. I was 19 at the time. I'm going on 25. So when you look at it, you're thinking, oh, man, that's a lot of growth there. LSU, August 30th, needs to come out into Clemson Memorial Stadium, their Death Valley, and go show that they are not a team to be messed with. And Brian Kelly said they have put paw prints on all the facilities and all the bags, and put 1-0 across all the facilities as well, just to get everything going, to motivate themselves to be focused on an opener. I will say this. I have not seen LSU focus on a season opener like this in a long time. It has been a minute since I've seen LSU focus on a season opener. This game, for me, for LSU, is important. It's probably the most important game LSU has played in some time. And I will say that because it does shape how they're going to be viewed throughout the season and heading into December. It really will. It will focus throughout the season and will take shape on where is LSU going to be at to start the season, because at some point it just seems like every time they have an opener, LSU, it shapes their season somehow. It really does. So this is going to be an important game for them for their season, and it dictates how the rest of the season could play out. So for me, everyone's going to sit there and say Ohio State, Texas is the most important game in terms of for the SEC, right? I kind of disagree. I think for Clemson and LSU, it's important. For one, this is going to dictate on how Clemson can show that they are the truth. On the flip side of that, LSU doesn't need to lose this game. So you're kind of in a bind a little bit. Clemson can afford to lose because of the conference and because they think they can, win it all, right? They're going to be a one-loss Clemson team and still get in and win the ACC champion. But for LSU in a tougher conference, and it is a tougher conference this year, especially with the teams that are in, with a conference that is deep and very competitive, a win over a potential ACC champion could shape them. So with that being said, and I know I'm going 10 minutes into this with LSU or 8 minutes into this with LSU, I'm just going to let you know this game is very important and probably the most important game of the August 30th weekend, of Labor Day weekend of week 1. This is probably the most important game. So LSU probably needs to figure out a way to win this ball game. I'm just going to let you know now. It's the most important game on their schedule so far, and it's the most important game on their out of their openers so far. So let's see if they can win it. That's my media day recap of LSU. They really talked about that game. They zeroed in on that game. I believe that they need to come out with a win on that one. That's just my honest thoughts. And I think that they are confident in themselves. I'm confident in their roster, and how they spoke was really, really well. So overall, that's my media day recap for LSU entering the 2025 season. I just think they need to come out with a win against Clemson. It's very important for them too. So who knows? We will see come a month and a half, right? So that is LSU's Media Day recap. Let's move on and let's talk about the second team on the Monday, and that was Ole Miss. Ole Miss replacing Jackson Dart is going to be tough, but Austin Simmons shows a lot of promise at the starting quarterback position, and Lane Kiffin knows that. Lane Kiffin's excited to get back on the field, excited about his team his up and coming team, talking about his team overall, dealing with a lot of transition and dealing with a lot going on with him. Took a slight jab at Hugh Freeze a little bit, but we're not going to get into that. We're not going to talk about that. But he was excited about Ole Miss and how they could play this year, and he knows that there's going to be some question marks, but he'll get it addressed, and he is just confident in how his team is presenting themselves and how his team, while they're young in certain areas, can transition into this season, and he's excited about where this season can go for them. So my overall thoughts on Ole Miss in general is, I think, to me, Lane Kiffin is always going to be confident in his team. He's always going to be laughing and joking in for SEC Media Days and smiling and having a good time, and I believe that he can do that, and that's good, right? My overall thoughts on Media Day recap for them is they are in a period of where Austin Simmons is going to start most likely his first full season as Ole Miss quarterback. He's going to show some promise, but there are some key areas for this team where, especially on the defense, because they're losing a lot on defense, as a team, are they going to be, I'm not going to sit there and say that you're going to be 10-win to 11-win season, but are they going to at least make it to those 8 games or 9-game stretch? They have the talent. It's just they're a young team, and can they? It's just a question. You know what I mean? That's the only question I have about Ole Miss. I think they got some playmakers. They have Caden Lee at the receiving core. I think Austin Simmons and Caden Lee can make a good quarterback receiver duo in the SEC. It's just one of those things that, can they do it? They just lost a lot of talent from last year, and they had a lot of good players. I'm just questioning if they can. I'm not questioning if they can make a bowl game. That's not my questions about my media day recap for them. My overall thoughts is, can they not make a bowl game, rather? How many games can they realistically win? I think that's the question, and that's the answer, and in the words I'm looking for. I think, how many realistically games can they win? I believe 8 could be a good answer. I'm not going to sit and say 10 plus, because of how much talent they've lost. It's hard for me to sit there and zero in and say Ole Miss is going to win 11 games. Book it. They lost a lot of guys, including Jackson Dart. I just think that 8 games is realistic for me on how that's really much my ceiling right now for Ole Miss. And that's kind of the vibe that I got from Ole Miss in Media Day, honestly. They're a good team. They just got to get some experience in. And I think that's the really good thing about that's the thing about Ole Miss and for my Media Day and what I got from them. So overall, that's my Media Day recap for Ole Miss and my thoughts on them heading into the 2025 season. They just need a little bit more experience coming in there. So that's my Media Day recap for Ole Miss for them. Next up is South Carolina And South Carolina, Shane Beamer entering another year as head coach of this team, really, really confident in how his team can be. He said, and I quote, that South Carolina's not a flash in the pan team. They're not. And the thing is, I buy into that. He's confident in his team. He's confident in his quarterback, confident in his defense. You bring in one of the best quarterbacks coming back in the conference, and Lenora Sellers, dual threat quarterback. He can run the ball. He's shown some promise in the spring and over the summer that he can throw the ball, and he's throwing the ball a little bit deep. I've seen some videos on X, and he's showing a lot of promise in that regard. South Carolina is not a flash-in-the-pan team. He's showing some promise in his defense as well, led by edge rusher Dylan Stewart, who is going to be an absolute menace. And in the future, and come a couple of years, NFL is going to be calling his name, and a lot of guys and scouts and teams are going to be loving some Dylan Stewart. I'm just going to let you know now. And South Carolina just showed, and he brought a lot of these guys with him, and they showed a lot of poise and character, and they show that they're ready to play some football come fall, some Gamecock football, come fall. So my overall thoughts on South Carolina is I am buying into South Carolina. I'm buying into what Shane Beamer said. He said they're not a flash in the pan, and I don't believe that they are. I believe that this game, they could probably win 9 to 10 games. I do. I think they got the quarterback to do it. I think they got the team to do it. And they have some guys at the receiving end, like a Nick Harbor, like a Mateo Bennett, like a Lenora Sellers at quarterback. On the edge, you got Dylan Stewart on the defensive side of the things. You got some talent on your team to where you're thinking, okay, this team looks good enough to go and compete and win some ball games. I don't know if I'm the only one that's kind of high on South Carolina and not really underestimating them, but a lot of people are going to underestimate South Carolina, and I just would not do that, honestly. I think it's very unwise to underestimate this South Carolina football team. I'm just going to let you know now. I think Lenore Sellers is a solid quarterback. He is going to find a way to bring you into these ball games. He can do it with his legs, and if he keeps progressing the way I think he's progressing in terms of throwing the ball, I think teams are going to have a problem, honestly, trying to contain him. It really is. It's aggravating trying to contain a quarterback like Lenora Sellers. It really is, because you're thinking as a defensive coordinator, and scratching your head, what do I got to do to contain him and try to slow him down? You may not could slow him down all the way, but you can try your best to contain him, and he's got that talent in him to where it's, okay, we may not could slow him down, let's try to contain him. But can you? We're just going to have to see, right? We're just going to have to figure it out and see. My overall thoughts on Media Day recap for South Carolina is, like I said, they're not a flash in the pan. I could see them realistically winning 9 to 10 games because of how well they are. And they're bringing a majority of their key players are coming back for them. I think South Carolina's got what it takes. I really do. So watch out for the Gamecocks. Shane Beamer spoke really, really well and confident in his team. I like Lenore Sellers. I'm high on South Carolina. Don't underestimate them, because they're a team that can and will make you pay for that if you do underestimate them. So watch out for South Carolina and watch out for Gamecock football this year. So that's my overall Media Day recap on South Carolina and how well they were presented at Media Days yesterday. So last but not least, for Monday, and then I'll give you my confidence thoughts on the Monday teams, and then we'll go over to today's teams, is Vanderbilt. Let me go on and tell you something. That's a team that is very confident. They are a young team, and Clark Lee said that. Clark Lee said when he spoke up there, entering his next season as Vanderbilt Commodore head coach, speaking on the success of last year and going into this year, he knows that he's got to adjust and move some guys around, rebuild on the offensive line, and rebuild in some key areas for this year. But they bring back quarterback Diego Pavia, and they are not lacking any confidence due to him and being he brings the confidence, and he brings the team a lot of passion, and that's what I like about Clark Lee and this team and how well they spoke. He brought a lot of passion about how young, while this team is very, very young, they do have a chip on their shoulder, and that chip brings a lot of competitive advantage to them. He spoke on that, and I really liked how he talked about that. Diego Pavia talked today as well. He spoke about how, and he made a declaration, and he said 7-6 wasn't enough, and 7 wins wasn't enough. I'm back, and I want to win a national championship. You can almost hear a pin drop when he said that. Everyone's going to say, is this guy delusional? I don't think he's delusional. I think he's confident. He's confident in himself. He has belief in himself, and he has passion in himself. The same way I have passion and belief in myself when running Pigskin Frenzy and when running this show. I have passion and belief in myself. I think Diego Pavia is a passionate quarterback. He's got the talent. He can throw. He can run. And he's got the heart. I don't think I think there's a lot of quarterbacks who are talented enough, but can they match the heart that Diego Pavia has? And that's kind of hard to come by. You got to have the heart, and Diego Pavia has the heart. And that's what I love about Vanderbilt football, because my overall thoughts and media day recap of Vanderbilt football from yesterday was they have the heart. They have the heart, they have the passion, they have the drive, and I think that's what's going to make them competitive this year once again and bring them some edginess and some stinginess this year. It's the competitive nature and the chip on their shoulder that they presented themselves with and how they spoke with yesterday. So watch out for Vanderbilt football again. And it brings me to say that this team is going to be a competitive team again due to that competitive nature, due to that chip on their shoulder, and due to the heart and passion they have led by Diego Pavia. So that's my overall media day recap of Vanderbilt. That's my confidence thoughts on them. And that's really just my view on things, my media day recap for Vanderbilt. So let's give you my confidence thoughts on the 4 teams that spoke on Monday for SEC Media Day, and then we'll move on to the 4 teams that spoke for today. So my confidence is LSU, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. You're going to sit there and say, why not Ole Miss? I'll give you my reasons. So for LSU, I'm confident in the roster and how well they are equipped. I just need to see something on August 30th. Go out and prove it. That's number one. South Carolina, I'm confident in them. Lenore Sellers, there's nothing else much to say about him. Dylan Stewart on the edge, a freak on the edge. I think they got the confidence, and I think they have the team and bringing back a lot of key players that makes me feel good about them heading into the 2025 season, especially the way they spoke about it at Media Day. And I really like Vanderbilt and how they spoke. I'm confident in them because of the chippiness on their shoulder, the stinginess, and how tough they can be. And I love how well they spoke on Monday. And it makes me excited to watch them play again coming up in the 2025 season. So Ole Miss is a thing to where I just have to wait and see how well they play when they step onto the field. I think they have a solid quarterback and a promising quarterback in Austin Simmons. It's just hard to be super confident when they have to replace a good bit of their team. And I think that, to me, is a thing that I have to just kind of watch out for come kickoff. So overall, those are my teams from Monday and my confidence thoughts on Monday and my media day recap from the Monday teams. Now let's discuss the 4 teams from today and how well they spoke. So opening up is Auburn. Auburn kicking it off today with Hugh Freeze in Auburn, and he talked about how everything was going there. He did face some of the noise on recruiting, and I kind of had a feeling that was probably going to be talked about. But Hugh Freeze just talking about his team, and he is liking the trajectory of his team. He's confident in his team. He's confident that this team could exceed expectations, and he's going in with a positive mindset heading into this season. So my overall thoughts on Auburn: you get Jackson Arnold at quarterback. You still have Ashton Daniels at quarterback and Deuce Knight at quarterback as well. You get Cam Coleman at receiver. You get guys, Eric Singleton at receiver. You get some guys on the defensive side of the ball as well. I think recruiting for the future is a little bit of a concern for me on my thing, but that's a whole nother topic. We're talking about 2025. So overall, the mindset in my overall thoughts is this, and how they spoke. They spoke with confidence. However, I did hint a little bit of some question marks for my media day, and the media day question marks that I have are they deep enough to win 8 to 9 games? There are some crucial games. They did speak on the opener against Baylor, and I think that's a game that's very important for them heading in throughout the meat of the season as well. I think it's just like LSU and Clemson. I think Baylor is an important game for Auburn, and I think they got to go win that game in Waco. That's a tough road game because Baylor is going to be a solid football team. We discussed them last week, and I think that's a tough opener for them. I think that's a tough game that they need to figure out a way to honestly try to figure out a way to win that ball game on the road. And I think that's an important statement. That's a statement game that they need to go out and win to prove that, hey, we're going to win at least 8 to 9 games and our program's on the right track. I think they're in I think entering the third year for Hugh Freeze. We're in a stage now where it's like, okay, we're not, to me, not quite on the hot seat yet, but we got to go prove something. And I think that is the kind of mindset that Hugh Freeze kind of led off with and for Media Day and the vibe that I got for Auburn during Media Day. So overall, that's my Media Day recap for Auburn and how I view everything there heading into the 2025 season. That was Auburn's Media Day recap. Let's move on and let's talk about Georgia. Kirby Smart and Georgia obviously fired up. Kirby Smart's ready to go and play some football. Confident in his quarterback in Gunnar Stockton. He is... A lot of people are kind of, underestimating Gunnar Stockton. He says he hears all that. He's blocking out the noise. He's not blocking out the noise. He's lighting a fire under him, and he is ready to show how well Georgia can compete for this year. So Kirby Smart, not shying away from confidence, very bold, really ready to go play some football, and just ready to go play, right? So my overall thoughts about Georgia is... Obviously, I am confident in Georgia. I mean, how can you not be? Kirby Smart, solid football coach. They do have talent, and they do have some depth. And I think that Georgia, when it comes to the meat of the season, will be I put them at third in the SEC conference standing projections. I think they'll compete for they'll try to compete for an SEC championship. They'll be in the hunt. I think by the way their schedule's set up, by the way they're built, and how they talked about today, and how they talked about today, and how they presented themselves today, they're very confident. And Kirby Smart's very confident in his team, and I would be too. So I think Georgia, to me, and how well they spoke today and how they carried themselves like they're on a mission and they're ready to go compete for a championship. So it's really enough said. That's my overall thoughts on Georgia and my Media Day recap for Georgia as well. And I just think that they carried themselves very, really well. They're confident, and I can't wait to see them play. Opening it up, right? Opening weekend. So that's my overall thoughts again for Georgia, and excited to see how they do against Marshall, right? So that's my Media Day recap for Georgia. So moving on, we got 2 more teams before we wrap up today's episode of Pigskin Frenzy. Tennessee, Josh Heupel and Tennessee. Good old Rocky Top. Woo! And shout out to my Tennessee fans who comment on the show and watch the show. You're probably thinking, he finally singing Rocky Top, right? Josh Heupel ready for another season for Volunteer football, and new quarterback in town, Nika Amaliava gone. Obviously, there's going to be questions asked about that, but Joey Aguilar coming in and at quarterback, and he's excited about the development of the offense, excited about the defense, and excited about how the defense are bringing back a lot of production on defense, and excited about how deep they are on certain defensive spots. And Josh Heupel is ready to go, prove that once again they can play physical football and go try to compete for a playoff spot again and go to competing in the SEC. So Josh Heupel showed some confidence. Joey Aguilar, I think the questions that I really wanted to hear more about Tennessee was about the quarterback spots, more about the offense in some areas. They did speak confidently about the offense, but more so about the defense and the overall scheme of things on that side of the ball. I think Tennessee, to me, and this is my overall Media Day recap, I think Tennessee, as I put them ninth in the SEC conference standing projections. I just think that Tennessee did lose some guys, but I think they have some talent to go out there and compete. I really do. They got a tough end of the schedule as well. I mean, Georgia, literally week 3 in there. Literally week 3, they play Georgia to open up SEC play. Tough game there. They moved the Florida game to November. To me, it's going to be just a little bit tougher, on the schedule side of things. So I'm curious to see what's going to happen, for them in the 2025 season. So I'm confident in Tennessee. I just think that to me, there's some questions that need to be answered. How's the offense going to look under Joey Aguilar? How's everything going to look, at the running back spot? You get Bishop there at the running back spot. Dylan Sampson, you got to replace him. You got Bishop there at the running back to replace him. And it's just going to be interesting to see. So how is Tennessee going to look overall? And I think, or is it going to be a little bit of a dip? Who knows? I'm curious to see what Tennessee's going to look like. That's my mini-day recap of Tennessee. I just have some questions in terms of quarterback play and who's going to be the playmaker on the ground game for sure. So that's my overall thoughts on Tennessee and my mini-day recap for Tennessee heading into the 2025 season. So last but not least, then I'll give you my thoughts and confident picks, right? Heading in to the 2025 season, and then we'll conclude and get ready for Thursday's episode for Midi-Day Recaps Part 2, and then we'll round out the SEC Midi-Day week on Thursday's episode. But last but not least, Texas. Steve Sarkisian entering his second season in the SEC, second SEC Midi-Day, another season at Texas. Hook 'em horns, right? Bringing in Arch Manning. The Arch Manning area has arrived. A lot of people are going to ask about him and talk about him, and he likes the development of him at quarterback, and he likes how this offense is. He talked about the receiving room and how the receiving room is going to be very deep, and he's very high on the receiving room, and he thinks a lot of people are overlooking his receivers, and he thinks that, and he said this a few weeks back, but he touched a little bit of base on it today, and I think he thinks Texas is going to be, he's very confident in his team, and he likes how well they can compete this year. So I really liked what I heard from Sark. I really liked what I heard from Arch Manning. He's very confident in himself, and he's ready to go out and play some football. My overall thoughts and my midi-day recap for Texas is this. I believe, and this is just my honest thoughts on them, I believe he's right. I think they have a receiver room that's very overlooked. While I do talk about their counterpart in Texas A&M having a loaded receiver room, I think Texas's receiving room is a little bit overshadowed. I think they do have a deep receiver room that really nobody's talking about and that teams need to talk about. And Arch Manning having that receiver room and having that help's only going to make him look even better, right? It's going to make him a better quarterback. So talking about him, talking about the receiving room and how the offense is going to look, I think Texas has got a shot at, to me, Texas is the number one team overall in the nation heading into the season because of how their roster's built. And I think that they should be. Why not? I mean, they have a good roster. Overall, Texas is looking good, confident. I'm not lacking any confidence on them. I think they're the best team in college football. They spoke like it. And defensively, they look good as well. They're just deep. And I think they spoke with a lot of confidence heading into that Ohio State opener. And they're ready for the challenge there as well. So, I don't know. My mini-day recap for me overall is just, I think that Texas is just deep, have a loaded roster. They look confident. They carry themselves like they're ready to go out there and compete. And they carry themselves like, hey, we're the best here. And I think that's the vibe that I got from them as well today for my midi-day recap. So that's my midi-day recap for Texas. And overall, my teams who I'm confident in as we wrap up this episode of Pigskin Frenzy, episode 237, for today, who I'm confident in. Texas, I'm confident in them. I'm confident in Georgia. I think that those are the two teams I'm confident in mainly. They carry themselves like they are the forefront of the SEC, and they carry themselves like they are the top contenders and who's gonna beat us kind of mentality, right? You got to go through us, right? And they carry themselves like that. So overall, and how I think they carry themselves, I think those are the two teams that I'm really confident in after Tuesday heading into the 2025 season. So overall, those are my overall thoughts for SEC Midi-Day Recap. And that was my SEC Midi-Day Recap for Monday and Tuesday, and SEC Midi-Day Recap Part 1. Thursday, we will have SEC Midi-Day Recap Part 2, and we will wrap up SEC Midi-Days with Wednesday and Thursdays Media Days on Thursday. So, guys, that just about does it for Pigskin Frenzy. A big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday afternoon to just tune in, listen, and sit back and watch and listen to some college football coverage and some SEC Media Day recap coverage presented by me. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like each episode, leave comments down below. Spotify, Podbean, and Apple, all you got to do is just share around with others and follow on there as well. X and Instagram, at Pigskin_Frenzy. Follow all the pages there. where you're going to get episode updates, news and highlights from across college and NFL football, trivia questions on Instagram stories, going into today's college football question, as well as all ends up to date and exclusive content for Pigskin Frenzy. Guys, the website's www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. Guys, a big thank you for taking some time out of your Tuesday to just sit back, watch, and listen to some college football coverage and some SEC Media Day recap coverage. We will be back Thursday with a brand new edition of Pigskin Frenzy, SEC Media Day recap part 2. SEC Media Day recap part 2. We will go over Wednesday and Thursday's editions of SEC Media Day on Thursday. And we'll wind down and conclude SEC Media Day week on Thursday. SEC Media Day recap, part 2 coverage. You're not going to want to miss it on Thursday. Guys, big episode coming on August 5th. We're going to announce that coming up in the next couple of weeks. Ready for it. I'm excited. You're not going to want to miss Tuesday, August 5th edition of Pigskin Frenzy. It's the first August episode of Pigskin Frenzy for 2025. Can't wait for it. Gonna announce it on X and Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy in the next couple of weeks, and on the show within the next couple of weeks. So we can't wait for that. Can't wait for Thursday's edition of Pigskin Frenzy either. Guys, Tuesday and Thursdays, thank you for tuning in each and every week. 5,000 plus listeners. We couldn't do this show without you guys. And most importantly, we could not do this show without our Lord and Savior Jesus. We give him all the praise and the glory, guys. And if you want to come to know him, it's the best decision you could ever make in your life. Contact me on X and on Instagram at Pigskin_Frenzy, and the website www.pigskinfrenzy.weebly.com. There's the contact info down below. There's a link tree that has all my socials and contact information. You can contact me there and discuss it with me. It's the best decision you can ever make in your life. We give him all the glory and all the praise for Pigskin Frenzy and all the platforms to just speak his name. And without him, we wouldn't do Pigskin Frenzy and talk about what we love, which is college football, and most importantly, we love Jesus, and we couldn't do this show and exalt him above ourselves on this show without him. So we praise him and give him all the glory on this platform. Guys, we will see you Thursday, and until Thursday's edition of Pigskin Frenzy, I am Joel Norris signing off. We will see you then. For everybody out there, please and always stay the course.